But I think if you want to implement lasting change, it's got to be the smaller steps.
Right.
And then you realize you've arrived at the top of the mountain. And by the way, whenever I think of that, I did an episode of NCIS LA with LL Cool J. He's just an amazing human. And I remember talking to him, and he said, you get to the top of the mountain, then you see the next one.
You see the next
right?
one.
But even then, you know you're going to go down, and then
Right.
you're going to slowly make your way back up. You're not just leaping to the next mountaintop.
Scotty, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. I'm really excited to talk to you today because we are putting together a series to help our subscribers get ready for 2026. And I'm trying to bring together diverse folks with different talking points, viewpoints, and I couldn't think of anyone better than having you here talk about what you're up to and some of the pointers. You are a very deep person. Behind those smiles is a very wise person. Probably a dude, very wise dude.
I do think I have an inner 12-year-old boy.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll get into that. But thank you so much. I know that you're super busy. It's a Saturday, folks. We're doing this recording. And thank you.
Thanks.
So as always, I'd love to start with your journey. Tell us a little bit about Scotty, your hero's journey, and we'll go from there.
That's a broad strokes question.
Yes, you can take it however you want.
Well, I'll just start with the fact that I'm much more interested in the heroine's journey these days. It's a more internal journey.
Yes.
I'm going to have my follow-up book to Joseph Campbell. But my hero's journey, I guess, I'm not really sure what sorts of,
Well,
what specifically are you interested in?
Let's just start childhood and work your way to here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was born in Virginia, Richmond, and I have three siblings. There's four of us.
Mm.
I can do math. Math was kidding. Not my forte. I actually failed my first F I ever got was my freshman year at Harvard in a class called The Magic of Numbers.
Wow.
I failed it, and I bought myself a brand new pen, $50 pen, to inspire myself to do better. And I did, but that's mostly because the teacher just gave everyone a curve. Because it was like the math for dumb people. Anyway, so I grew up in the countryside in Virginia, and I was ballerina and really into that. It's a very disciplined,
Right.
very focused world. You have to be obsessed with it. And I became obsessed with it. Well, obsessed if you want to make a career out of it.
Right.
So my junior and senior years in high school, I left school early and went and trained with the Richmond Ballet. And then I became an apprentice with them for a year and would have continued on, but I'd also gotten into Harvard and was one path I saw what would happen with if I stuck with ballet, which I was still in love with, but not to the same degree. And I knew I could possibly carve out a career with, it's a great company in Richmond, and they ended up touring to China and New York and all over the world after I left. But then I saw school and mind expansion in a different way and didn't know what that led to. So I chose to go to school, and I got really into acting and theater when I was there, and created my own degree in post-colonial performance studies, which is, I don't really know what it is. I wanted to count, I had focused on post-colonial literature and theory, not theater. I wanted to study theater, but you couldn't at the time. It was not considered an okay major because it was too vocational, and I always thought that was odd because economics isn't. Anyway, and I had studied abroad in Senegal. I was studying post-colonial literature and theories and everything that's written within countries that were colonized and the diaspora, anyone who's left, and rooted from those places. So I wanted all that to count, and then I wanted my theater classes to count, and I'd been literature before that, comparative literature. Anyway, I got really into theater, and going into my senior year, I was working in Boston for the summer editing a travel guide called Let's Go Vietnam. It was the first edition. Let's Go was all Harvard undergrads. It's like the Lonely Planet cheap student guide.
Yeah.
I had gotten to travel to Greece one summer. Anyway, I auditioned I took a course on auditioning for film and TV because I knew I wanted to be an actor and I had no idea how. And the casting director just happened to be casting a pilot, which I didn't know what a pilot was, for Showtime, and I didn't know what Showtime was because I only grew up with PBS. And I went in and read for a cashier that could have been any age, any gender, any nationality. And in the room for this, there are no small roles, but small role,
Right.
were the show creator and the director being Philip Noyce, and he's Clear Present Danger,
Right.
Salt, big director.
Right.
Somehow they were in the room for this 5-line role and ended up bringing me back for different roles because I guess they saw something. So I ended up booking my first job as a recurring character on that show, Brotherhood, on Showtime. And that's how I made my way into acting.
Wow.
Moved to LA because I
Is
was
it still on Showtime for folks who?
I think you can, yes, you can definitely still find it somewhere.
Oh, good.
Most likely Showtime.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
It's all about the Boston Mafia with Jason Clarke and Jason Isaacs.
I think I've actually seen a few episodes of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I played a character who apparently was crazy. I didn't know who she was, but I just played her intuitively. It was funny. Years later, my acting coach in LA was like, I saw you in this and you're so good. And when I first came to her, when I got to LA, after I'd filmed the pilot or filmed the series, I was acting. I was trying really hard to perform. And she had to break me of a habit that I think I had not been doing when I first started. And when I was on set, they had sent me to an acting coach. And I think that confused me. You know, sometimes you just got to trust your intuition.
Right.
I think I've been on a long hero's journey of coming back to my intuition, which is why I like the heroine's journey. And I, anyway, acted for the last, I guess, almost 20 years now. And more recently have been producing, and then I'm currently on the festival circuit with the short film that I wrote and directed and also acted in.
Was that the one that we got to see with, with Tiffany and group?
Yes.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Thanks.
What was the title again for the listeners?
It's called Sienna and the Sit.
Okay. Where can they find it?
Well, it's still on the festival circuit, so it's not on any space yet. But if you follow me on socials, you can see some places it's going to show. And
oh, beautiful.
I'll be updating as to when it finally finds a home. Short films are complicated because they don't really sell in the same way.
Well, towards the end, we'll talk about where people can find you and hunt you down. So I love how, well, first of all, I'll let you talk a little bit more about your TED Talk, because that was very powerful. And although I was running around trying to help with
everyone, you were fixing everyone's issues.
I did get a chance to stop and listen to yours, like just listen. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, and we'll dive deeper into that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for all your help. And you were instrumental in helping me through the process.
Yeah.
And it was such a great process because we had, the feedback.
Yes.
As we all were preparing our talks to get feedback from the group and decide what to integrate and what not to. And for me, raised as a ballerina, you take notes and the note is God. You just accept it as the
gospel.
word.
Yes.
As gospel, that's the word. Versus, my transition into acting has been, I can hear a note, but it may or may not be the greatest choice. Because in ballet I was a core and I had to look like everybody else. You're trained until you become a soloist or a principal.
Right.
To be the same. So I've gone through this transition of needing to know when to absorb a note and when not to, and that was really a big thing I learned when I was editing my short film. I didn't actually edit it, but I was working with my editor. I don't want to take credit where credit is not due. She was amazing. So my TED Talk was born of our friend Richard.
Right.
Telling me, it was kind of synchronistic, which is often how things work in my life when I actually open to the flow, which we've talked about. And I often resist that. my girlfriend asked me if I knew Richard because she wanted to get in touch with him to do a TED Talk. And I said, oh, I didn't even know he was doing TED Talk, organizing an event. And she said, yes, I want to do one. I asked her what was on. She said, you should think about doing one. I said, what on? I'm not an expert in anything. And the next day, Richard texts me out of the blue and says, do you want to do a TED Talk? And I was like, what?
What is going on?
No, what? I don't know what to talk about.
Right.
And he said, of course you do. You're a Harvard ballerina who's in Hollywood now. And in that comment, I thought, oh, there's projection and assumptions of perfectionism.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so I sort of reverse engineered what the talk was. And also, I know Richard through, we work and do some indigenous activism together. And I'm very interested in indigenous wisdom and how we relate and how the indigenous communities around the world relate to the earth, protect the earth, and also have a very much more embodied understanding of the world. I'm someone who spent a lot of years in my head. I spent a lot of years training my body very strictly.
Right.
But I found this real path forward through the weaving of indigenous wisdom into my own embodied life experience. So I really wanted to incorporate that into this talk. It isn't as much a part of it ultimately because of the time frame, but I also knew as I was preparing the talk and talking about perfectionism and the lengths we go to present a perfect image to the world or live up to our own perfect images, and again, projection.
Right.
The lengths we go to cover up what's actually going on. So I spoke to, and it was a very scary experience for me to get up and be so raw and vulnerable because I spoke to sexual trauma as well as other aspects of my life that have been affected by the pursuit of that. And really, ultimately, it was a very challenging process for me because I wasn't presenting a protocol for how to handle this perfectionism thing in any way. I'm not a teacher on how to overcome these things. I have access to wisdom. I've gained wisdom in my own right through my journey. And at the same time, I'm not a scientist like yourself or others who are doing talks who are like, here's facts. Nor was I someone saying, here's what I do for a living that's based on how to overcome these issues. I was like, here's a story.
Right.
So it was scary to get up and be so vulnerable. And also I kept questioning, am I landing the plane? What is the point of this?
Right.
I'm still not sure there is one, but it was certainly an amazing experience to be a part of the process and to get up and share my story and to meet all the people who were part of our TED community.
I think for me personally, what I got about it is being okay with being imperfect and actually embracing that process of imperfection and not seeing it as a bug, but actually a feature. And I think that is, my parlance. That is something that I haven't thought of imperfection that way. Because in my world, imperfections, you need to take it out because if you scale it, then now you have it in all of your products. So that's never good. But how you approached it, I remember there was an image of was it a bowl, like a cracked bowl that had gold in it or something?
It's a Japanese art form called kintsugi.
Kintsugi.
And where they glue back together ceramics with gold.
Right.
And in my opinion, it comes out more beautiful. And I just heard something last night from Alan Watts. I don't know if you know Alan. I love Alan Watts. Yes. And he referenced your imperfections give you texture. And so it's nice to hear that's what you took away from it.
Yeah.
And I think even in the delivery, there's some meta aspects to my talk because it's embracing the imperfections of not necessarily having a solution. It's here's things to think about. These are ways I deal with when I bump up against my perfectionism, blocking myself from being present. It's breathing. It's getting out in nature. It's just accepting that the perfection, as Alan Watts was saying last night, is the imperfection is the perfection, I should say.
So part of the reason, I really wanted to talk to you is I want to help our subscribers, our listeners prepare for 2026. And there's a lot of pressure towards the end of the year to not just do better, but hopefully be perfect the next
Yes.
year. And unfortunately, studies have shown around Valentine's Day, whatever it is people are trying to do, it falls off.
Yes.
So I want to go deeper into embracing the imperfection and allowing yourself to learn through that and taking off all of that weight on your shoulder, especially for you as a ballerina. Like, perfection is the only way, because as you said, you have to be uniform, and you quickly stand out if you're not following the steps perfectly.
Yes.
So what would be your advice for folks who are in their own way, right? Going through this ballerina moment of trying to be perfect, either for the spouse, either for work, either for whatever role they're in right now. How can they embrace the imperfection?
I think part of it is setting realistic goals.
Okay.
I know for myself, when you think of change, I think of, I must do this giant thing.
Right.
And then everything will work out fine. And the more I live and try and navigate changes that are just happening anyway, or things I wish to change in myself, it is just the small steps. Everything is better when you're taking, every once in a while you got to take a giant leap.
Right, right.
Life sometimes forces you to, but even then, when you typically, if you're going to take that leap, you've probably done quite a bit of preparation.
Right.
Unless, again, you get thrown a massive curveball. And that's a different kind of leap. But I think if you want to implement lasting change, it's got to be the smaller steps.
Right.
And then you realize you've arrived at the top of the mountain.
Right.
And by the way, whenever I think of that, I did an episode of NCIS LA with LL Cool J. He's just an amazing human. And I remember talking to him, and he said, you get to the top of the mountain, then you see the next one.
I see the next
Right?
one. Right.
But even then, you're going to go down, and then
Right.
you're going to slowly make your way back up. You're not just leaping to the next mountaintop. So nothing new in this metaphor I'm offering up, but I think that is really important to remember. And then one thing I personally have yet to fully integrate, but I think about a lot as I go into New Year's, I like to make vision boards,
Right.
pull images and things I
Yeah.
want to see. And it's wild to look back and see, oh, wow, a lot of these things came through.
Nice.
I think that's one fun way to activate your subconscious and
Right.
allow other things that you might not necessarily goal-wise think about embracing. But even as I do the vision boarding over the years, that's changed for me to want to focus more on the feelings I have as opposed to the external manifestation of what I'm doing. I think that's something that gets overlooked in our setting of a goal. And I know your subscribers are more probably scientifically oriented. So this is perhaps a very different approach, but I think it's really important to remember how you want to feel as you're executing something. Because if you
Right.
feel like crap doing it, you're not going to do it.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
You want to cut out sugar? Okay, well, you got to do that incrementally, or you're going to
Right.
wake up and just, it's not going to last.
Pull your hair out. Yeah.
And what do they say? It takes 28 days to implement a habit.
Right.
So
Yeah.
ease your way in, too. I'm someone who's done a lot of cleanses in my life.
Right.
And I used to do this one where I would not eat anything for a week and drink clay and psyllium husk, and you just clean your colon out. And it's really intense. And as I've gotten older, I found my body doesn't want to do that anymore. I think it's healthy to do a cleanse.
Right.
I feel like maybe if I try that again, I'll need to ease my way into it more.
Right.
I would go from holiday eating to starving and like
Feast or famine.
giving nothing to nourish my body. And I think it's like, no, girl, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Right.
And so I think being rational with yourself and attuning to how you feel as you go into the process and as you're inside of it.
I'd love to go back to the part where you talk about going from one mountaintop to another. And you've gone through a lot of ups and downs in your life, different mountains that you've climbed up to and had to go back down to get to the next one. What are some of the tools or things that you've learned now today that you have to help you get through that downward slope where things are not going your way, and it almost seems like as you're going down this first mountain, that second mountain seems further away because you're, literally going down.
Yes.
And
Tumbling.
I've seen you, go through these things, and you come out of these dark nights of the soul, if you will. What are some of the things that you do, or?
Good question. I always find solace in nature. Just stepping outside and
Right.
forgetting my own ego and the beauty of what's around me. And I'm really lucky to be able to be near all kinds of different natures, and because I'm traveling a lot and seeing incredible beauty. But it doesn't have to be some faraway land.
Right.
Swimming with humpback whales, which I did get to do this summer. It can be just listening to a hummingbird in the backyard, or admiring the scent. Stop and smell those roses, right? And I love taking walks, ocean walks especially. Just slowing myself down and doing that. I'm so grateful I have really, really amazing friends that I lean on in my life, and my family as well. And I always have to move my body too, I think, because as a dancer, I gotta even when I hover near depression, I never don't exercise.
Oh, nice.
So, and who is it? Jim Carrey says, depression is just a need for deep rest. Deep rest, which I think is pretty profound, because I actually just recently, in one of these more recent dark nights, since I've seen you, really, I'd say, experienced just physical burnout, and I just had to rest a lot.
Yeah.
And had the luxury to be able to do that. And so, yes, I'd say that. And I also sometimes I work with plant medicine, and that's helpful and can reset my system. And those are my primary ones. I think breath work is really powerful when I remember to do it.
Right.
And another tool that I really like is emotional freedom technique, EFT tapping.
Oh. Before you proceed, let's go back to the breath work. What does your practice look like?
It's kind of different. I've done I've studied Kundalini and worked with breath of fire and some of those different ones. Sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes I just need to do 4 seconds in, hold it, 4 seconds out, or just 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, and just
box breathing. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. And sometimes listening to guided meditations help. If I just try to meditate without some noise in the background, it's really hard for me.
Right.
Because my brain just starts to spin.
Right.
And that's not helpful.
No, the head spinning isn't, but the meditation sure does.
The meditation is helpful.
You're someone that, as you said, is always in your head. I'm really curious to know, what are some of the things that you believed in before, like that you've let go of recently? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Oh, that's a good. Well, I think part of my New Year's resolution advice about focusing on the external goal versus how you feel in pursuit of it.
Right.
And so I think I've often pursued, okay, well, this is the right way, quote unquote, right way to do it. And then I pursue all those steps, and I wake up and I'm like, I'm not happy with, nor am I there. But even in the process, I'm not happy with where I am. So why did I focus so hard on that? Or I look at it and I'm like, I did all the right things and it just didn't work. Whether or not I'm happy, I found happiness in other things along the way. So and enjoy the journey. The more you can enjoy the journey, the better. But I think letting go of certain preconceived notions. The issue is I'm also still ambitious and motivated. I'm not going to not have goals for myself. So
Right.
I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to put that goal out there and let go of the pressure factor. I do know that worrying is just the biggest waste of time,
Yeah.
and yet I do it anyway.
Right.
And I think also that's part of the spin out and worry that just like I keep, is this going to happen? Is this not going to happen? Is this going to, and then
Right.
it's just such a waste. But I spend a lot of time on that,
I know.
and I haven't mastered that.
So for 2026, what would you say are some of the things that you're going to work on letting go? Like not bringing like, all right, 2025, 4 minutes, 10 minutes. 2025, you've been great, but this aspect, whatever that is, you are not coming along in 2026. Well, what is that for you?
Well, we're in the year of the snake shedding a lot of skin. in the Chinese.
Is 2026 the year of the snake?
No, we're in it right now.
Oh, in it right
2025.
now. Okay, gotcha.
And so we're entering the year of the fire horse, which I'm very excited about. I'm an Aries, Aries moon, so I have some fire in me. There's a lot I'm shedding. I feel less and less motivated by external validation and much more inspired by my own feeling of fulfillment within myself. And that is still relating to ambitions and goals,
Right.
as well as just enjoying a day without necessarily achieving things. Although
Right.
usually I like to be productive in my own right. And,
Right.
so I think I'm working on letting go of needing to do all of the to-do lists and letting go of building up my own drama around my own narrative of what's going on. Because I go to other people both for advice, but also sometimes to just speak it out.
Right.
And I do that far too often that I'm perpetuating the story, and I catch myself doing that. And I think it's on me. That's one thing I'd like to let go of more of in the new year. I'm realizing this as I speak to you.
As we speak,
know?
yeah.
So, and I've been really lucky to move around and travel a lot in the last couple of years, and I'm ready to ground more. So I think that's also part of the external seeking factor. And now being more interested in, I guess, the internal, but also just simplifying.
In your travels, what has surprised you?
Good question. I would say, well, what I love about traveling is it puts you in an unfamiliar place usually, which immediately gets you out of your head and invested in what's around you and what's right in front of you. And I think that brings me far more into the present and into an open space and a more curious space, because I know I'm my best self when I'm in my curiosity. And it's incredible to be privy to other cultures and be present to how other people live and work through a day and live in a day and relate to the nature around them and the people around them. And it's always surprising everywhere you go to be witness to how different people live and relate to each other. And it's the travel days that I don't like.
Right. The actual physical getting on the plane.
Yes.
Stuck in
It's the
airport.
getting there. I don't know many people who like that.
Eating fast food.
Yes.
That is stale.
Even when I get into somehow manage my way into a lounge, if I somehow manage to get in there, and it's great. I'm still I just really am ready to be in the place and be present to new experiences.
Nice. So,
and the kindness of strangers,
the kindness of strangers. For those who want to learn more about what you're doing, where can people find you, hunt you down?
I'm on Instagram at I am Scotty T, SCOTTIET.
Nice. And the title of your TEDx?
Confessions of a Recovering Perfectionist.
I love that title.
I was pretty excited about it
Yeah.
too. I finally figured it out.
We workshopped that for quite a while.
Yes.
And it was funny because you, like every other day, you would say, is this even worth doing? Like you would go really deep and like, yes, it is worth doing, Scotty. Then you'll come back out and
Yes, even if only for myself, but
Right.
you hope
But-
that it touches other people and there's an effect.
yes, and I really hope our listeners check out the TEDx because it really is profound, and you were pretty vulnerable, and it's amazing that as Stephen Covey would say, that which is most personal is also universal.
Yes.
And as you were sharing the deepest aspects of your life, your struggles, you could hear a pin drop, and I was like, wow, that was amazing. And so, yeah, please check it out. And any final words, Scotty, for folks preparing for 2026?
It's a 1 year too, numerically speaking in numerology. So we're in a 9 year. So it's been a completion year. And next year we step into a 1.
A 1.
All the
okay.
numbers adding up to the
Right.
1. So we've been shedding in a completion year and we're moving into momentum with a horse, with fire, lighting fire and starting anew.
Right.
And so I always get excited about a new year. I usually label my years, something rhyming with the digit, 6, something to rhyme with 6. I haven't figured that out yet. But I think this is a fun one to think about. This has been a lot going on for a lot of people. I think
Right.
we're all pretty fragmented.
Yes.
And it's been nonstop.
Right.
And I don't think that's going to let up, but at least maybe we've adjusted to it a little bit. And now there's some movement as opposed to just the shedding of what has been. And so I find that exciting to lean into that. And then also within that, how are you staying with yourself,
Right.
staying calm in the movement that hopefully is good forward momentum for all of us in our endeavors. So I just say stay grounded. That was one of my things with my talk too, is get your bare feet in the earth and feel the world around you and
Right.
look a stranger in the eye, not in a scary way, but in the sense of like, you're at the grocery store and you just connect with
Right.
the cashier. I find myself leaning more and more into that as the world goes more quickly by me. I'm like, I need to just,
Be in
hi
the
you.
moment. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. How's your day? Just
Right.
simple acts of those simple acts of kindness and gestures of connection, I think, are good antidotes to the speed in which we're moving.
Scotty, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This was amazing.
You're the best.
Wow.
Your talk was just so unbelievable. I've been bragging about it to everyone. You have to watch him.
Oh.
It's so profound. It's so brilliant, like you.
Thank you so much. Well, Scotty, hope we can do this again.
Yes, please.
All right. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Dustin.
Thanks, guys.
And that's a wrap. We did it. Look at
Yay! But I think if you want to implement lasting change, it's got to be the smaller steps.
Right.
And then you realize you've arrived at the top of the mountain. And by the way, whenever I think of that, I did an episode of NCIS LA with LL Cool J. He's just an amazing human. And I remember talking to him and he said, you get to the top of the mountain, then you see the next one.
You see the next
Right?
one.
But even then, you're going to go down and then
Right.
you're going to slowly make your way back up. You're not just leaping to the next mountaintop.